Guess who's back? Back again. A little passionate is back. Tell your friends. I'm sorry, I had to. Here we are. We're kicking off season 2. And I'm so excited because I really missed you guys. I didn't intend on taking this big of a break, but a lot of life happened, okay? And I know that I left you guys hanging, and I am sorry about that. But we're going to dive in, and I promise I will get you caught up on what has happened since then. So, here is where we left off. I announced to y'all that yes, God does, in fact, keep his promises because I'm pregnant. I'm still pregnant. We are so excited because we're going to be welcoming our baby boy Judah in October. So, we've been preparing. I am healthy. He is healthy. Things are going well. I've really enjoyed this season. It's been really great. I love checking my What to Expect app every single Friday and learning about what size baby boy is. Right now, he is the size of a butternut squash. Sometimes the sizes don't really make any sense at all, but it is fun. And I like sharing it with my family. But yeah, there's been lots of celebrating, preparing for his arrival. I had an amazing baby shower back in July with all of my favorite things and my favorite people. And it was so fun getting to celebrate. And then we've also just been, trying to get his nursery ready, get the house ready for him to come home. And that's been really sweet too. But apart from just this season of being pregnant, which I am getting more excited for the season to come to an end and to be able to hold my baby in my arms. But it's been really great too. But back in May, my family experienced a loss. My grandpa Jimmy passed away. And then in that same week, our dog, Louie, also passed away. And then we were hit with a tornado in the community that I live in. And it was just a lot. I felt like it was just one thing after another. And so it took me some time to come back. And at first, it was convenient to take that break because there's a lot of stuff happening in my life, right? But if I'm being honest, I allowed myself to get in the way of continuing to do the thing that I was so passionate about doing in the first place. And that is this podcast. But I'm back now and I'm recording this because I want to say, whatever that thing is that you maybe have put like on the back burner, maybe there's something that you have been wanting to do. Maybe you feel like there is an area of your life that, you're trying to change. Maybe you feel impressed to do something different. Do it anyway. Do it afraid. Do it anxiously. Do it anyway, because you cannot allow fear or doubt to keep you from pursuing the things that you're passionate about or the things that you feel called to do or even curious to do. I started this podcast literally a year ago, and we're here celebrating my birthday yet again because I love birthdays. I love celebrations. But I started this podcast with the intention of helping people find the things that they are passionate about in life, because I believe that those are the things that bring us hope and they encourage us to keep moving forward. It gives us something to look forward to be excited about in life. And I think whenever you can find those things to cling to, it helps give you a reason to go on. And that's something that I've struggled with in the past. And I know that that's something that people struggle with even now. And so that has not changed. That's still my intention. That's still my goal, is to help you find the things that you're passionate about, because I think it's important. But to be honest, here we are a year later and it's come full circle, because I cannot tell you how many times I nearly backed out of even recording this and coming back to do another season, to record another episode. But I'm back because I believe that I'm not done yet. And even if this reaches just one person and it causes them to get up and go do the thing that they've been lacking the confidence to do, then it's worth it to me. So that's why I'm back. And that's why it took me so long. But I want you to get this, if you get anything out of this podcast at all, is that you are worth it. And I came back because I believe that you're worth it. Pursue the things that you're passionate about. Pursue the thing that God has called you to do because you're worth it. Your future is worth it. As I was preparing to come back and record this episode, I've really been thinking on this message that I preached a few weeks ago at church. And I had been reading a very familiar story in the Bible earlier this month. And as I was reading it, there was just a phrase that stood out to me. And I'm telling you, I've read this story so many times. And whenever you hear it, you're going to be like, oh, I've heard this a million times too. But I was reading in Jonah, the book of Jonah, and God gave this message to Jonah. And he said, get up and go to that great city of Nineveh. And that phrase that stood out to me was get up and go. And I've read this so many times, but that has just like reverberated in my mind because it made me question, what is our response when God calls us to get up and go? What has been my response whenever God has called me to get up and go? I would love to be able to say that I have been perfect and obedient and I've done exactly what God has called me to get up and go do. But that's not always the case. I have been slacking. I have been coming up with excuse after excuse. I've allowed fear. I've allowed doubt. I have allowed insecurity to keep me from getting up and going and doing the things that God has called me to do. And you see, that's why I can't look at Jonah whenever he makes the decision to literally get up and go in the opposite direction of Nineveh. I can't hate on him for it because we do it all the time too. I do it all the time. And so often, whenever God is calling us to get up and go do something, we come back, to the conversation with the response of, but God, I can't because my resources are limited. Or, God, I can't because they hurt me. God, I can't because I don't think I'm actually reaching anyone. I'm not making a difference. Can't you just send somebody else? That's what Moses said too. We like to come up with all these excuses whenever God is calling us to get up and go do something. You see, Jonah knew that God had a very specific job for him to do, but he didn't want to do it because he didn't like the people of Nineveh and he didn't want to fulfill the thing that God has called him to do. But there are specific things that God has called us to do as well. And here I am, it's been a year and I'm still finding myself like fighting it. And I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but I know that at the end of the day, God gave me very clear instructions to come back and record this and continue on with this podcast. And so, even though in the back of my mind, I kept trying to push it down and I was making excuses, trying to find things that were convenient, I knew that I had to get up and go record this episode because it was time to stop running in the opposite direction. It was time to stop coming up with excuses. Because the reality is both our obedience and our disobedience affects others. Whenever Jonah, he decided to go in the opposite direction and he bought a ticket and boarded a ship to go to a different destination, he put the lives of those men in danger. Quite literally, there was a huge storm that had occurred as they were sailing. And they were like, what is this? We've never seen anything like this before. And so they were trying to figure it out and pretty much came down to, they're like, well, it's this guy because, we have been praying to our gods and doing the things that we know to do. And nothing is changing. But this guy right here, he's the outlier. And Jonah knows it's him. He recognizes that it's his fault. And reality is that even in Jonah's disobedience, God arranged for him to come to a place of deliverance, which I think is so beautiful, because Jonah could have drowned and he could have died in the depths of the sea, but God had a rescue plan for his life. And scripture says that God arranged for this great fish to come and swallow him. And it was in the belly of that great fish that Jonah cried out to God, and he answered him. And so, like Jonah, maybe you found yourself in a place where you've gone in the opposite direction too. But I want to encourage you that you're not too far for God to still answer you. Because after his time spent in repentance, God then ordered that fish to spit Jonah out, and he got a second chance to carry out his work. And so here I am too. This is my second chance. It's my second season, and I want to fulfill the things that God has called me to do. And so I want to encourage you and challenge you to go and read the book of Jonah again. Maybe it's been a while. It isn't only what you've heard in children's church or Sunday school, but rereading this story challenged me to think about how I've responded whenever God has called me to get up and go. And like I said, I want to be able to give a Sunday school answer that, I've done great and I have always been obedient to what God has called me to do. But that's simply not the truth. But how can we expect a different result if we just simply stay where we are? Because if you're not going, then you're not growing. But we cannot allow fear or doubt to derail us from moving forward, from pursuing the things that we're passionate about, these things that God is calling us to do. For you, it probably isn't recording a podcast. But what is that thing for you? Is there something that you have just felt like God has been placing on your heart to do? Have you felt like that little nudge from Him? Maybe it's, to call somebody and encourage them or text them. Maybe it's going out and doing something for somebody else. Maybe it is trying something new. Maybe it is, something so simple, but yet you've allowed fear and doubt to overwhelm you and overcome you. But you don't have to continue to allow those things to have hold on you. You can get up and go. And I want to encourage you to do that your resources aren't limited, that you truly do have everything you need whenever you have Christ. Whenever He is the one calling you to it, He is going to equip you to do the very thing He's called you to do. So get up and go. Tell the story. Try the new hobby. Eat somewhere new. Change up your routine. Whatever it takes. Put yourself out there and then watch what happens. See what God will do. Back in June, God gave me some really clear instructions for this podcast. And I truly want to do my best to honor those instructions. So things moving forward may look a little different. I just want to make sure that I am honoring Him and that I am listening to His voice and that I am doing my best to follow those instructions. But some things that you can expect are that my episodes are going to be coming out on Wednesdays now, and I'll be sharing some more devotional content. But my goal is still to continue to help you find things that you're passionate about too. And so I'm excited to be sharing with you a list of the things that I'm passionate about in each episode. And so I'm going to give you a rundown of some things that I'm feeling pretty passionate about lately. And of course, that list, it's going to change, or at least some things on it will. But yes, I am still very passionate about Dr. Pepper. Always. There was a very brief moment early on in pregnancy where I preferred root beer, but that ship has sailed. We're back to Dr. Pepper. And I tried a Dr. Pepper Icy the other day from Come and Go. I thought I would like it because it was really hot outside. but I just like Dr. Pepper, period. Way better. And I have like a tier of, canned, bottled, fountain, but Dr. Pepper always at the top of my list. Another thing that I'm really passionate about right now is watching MasterChef Generations. I'm really enjoying that. And then Halloween candy that's starting to come out. I had some really good Skittles the other day. And then just, preparing for Judah to get here. It's been really awesome and I'm really enjoying it. And it's just something that I'm passionate about right now. But truly, I am excited to see where this podcast goes. And as you know, life has changed a lot for me this past year. But I can't wait to take you along the journey and continue to share with you the things that God is teaching me and new things that I'm becoming passionate about. And my hope is that the more that I share about the things that I'm passionate about or that others are passionate about, that again, you're going to be able to find something that you can be passionate about too. And I want to encourage you, if you have any topics you'd like me to share or any guests you'd like me to interview, hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. My links are included in the show notes, and I'd love to follow up on that. And I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much for showing up and listening to this episode of A Little Passionate, for coming back for season 2, or just checking in if it's your first time. I really appreciate you. And I hope that this episode has encouraged you and challenged you to get up and go do the thing that you're passionate about doing. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and smash that subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes, because I promise you, you're not going to want to miss them. And if you haven't yet, please leave me a review. It really does make a difference, and I would really appreciate it.